Hello friends. Up to the last video, we have covered few basic fundamental things of core Java programming. In that, we have covered identifiers and the rules for creating identifiers. We have discussed like that. Okay. Data types. In data types, we have covered all the data types starting from byte, short, long to the entire one, that is the double and boolean, right? Similarly, we have covered all the literals followed by all the operators like bitwise operator, like arithmetic operator, increment and decrement operator, unary operator, all the operators we have discussed. And then we have discussed about typecasting to convert types not only implicitly but also explicitly. Both the things we have covered, right? After then we have covered types of variables, in how many ways according to the place they have declared, according to the type how they can access. We have defined variables like instance variable. We have discussed like static variable followed by local variable. After then we have few statements like selection statements like if and switch, followed by loops called as pre and post test. Both the loops we have covered. And the last video itself covered some transfer statements like break and continue. So all these concepts will be required in almost every session from today's session onwards. So make sure you have covered all these parameters, all these concepts, so that it will be very easier for all of you to understand the other concepts, right? See, the major intention of reading Java is to understand how OOPS is working on Java. But before getting into OOPS, we have a small thing that we need to discuss. After then, might be from the next video onwards, we'll entering into the object-oriented programming of Java, right? So before that, let us concentrate on one more concept. Prior to that, let us assume a question. The question is, suppose I want to store. So my intention or my requirement is to store marks of student, some student, right? And we know the marks are, we are not taking marks as float, we are taking as whole number 10, 20, 30, 40 like that. The max full mark is 100. Suppose I want to store a mark of one student. You will say, sir, what you can do, we can go for x equal to 10, right? We can go like this. In the second one, if there will be one more student, so you can say, sir, why don't you take the value of the second one as 20. So this is also okay if I want to store mark of, let's say, 5 to 10 students. If there will be 100 number of students or 1000 number of students, then is it feasible to declare 1000 variables to store the value? My question is it possible to declare 1000 variables? The answer is obviously no. See, it is not possible, you cannot say, but it is pretty difficult or it is not a normal programming practice where we can declare thousands of variables, because for thousands of variables, how many identifier we require? Not almost exactly 1000 variables, right? Not only that, we need to remember which variable carries whose mark. That is one more issue, right? To resolve this problem, so what will be the solution for this? The solution is, if there will be a concept, concept where we can store more values in one variable. So this is our requirement. I want to create one variable which can hold, I want to declare how many variables? One variable, but that can hold more values. More values means it could be 1000 values, it could be 10,000 values, it could be 1 lakh values, doesn't matter, right? So if I could able to do this, definitely you will say, sir, this will definitely reduce the burden of the programmer, burden of the programmer, or reduce the complexity of writing the program, right? Or you can say the programming effort can be reduced with this particular concept, right? The solution is, I want a variable. Yes, I want a variable that can store multiple values. But here, all the data types that we have discussed till now, all the variables are single variable which can hold only how many values? One values. But my requirement is to store thousands or maybe more than that values, right? So now, if we want to solve this particular kind of, if you want to address this particular kind of situation, the best fit is called as an array. So now, array is a kind of concept where, let us define it from the very beginning. We'll start from the scratch. Then as we go on, the definition of array will be more solid and more efficient, right? So array is a concept where we can store number of values of same type, in a single variable. Trust me, this is not the complete definition. This is a definition to start with. Now, what we'll do, we'll introduce one more concept called as array, which, and the properties of array is it can store number of values, n number of values. That could be 2, that could be 10, that could be 1000, that could be 10,000. We'll go through what will be the maximum one. So this is a normal definition of an array. Array can contain number of values, but the restriction is of what? Of same type. Means if you are going to create an array for integer, make sure it can only hold integer values, like that. And what is the name of the variable? How many variables I have to create? I have to create only a single variable, right? And the advantage of doing this kind of stuff is, what exactly it will do? It will reduce it will reduce the programming effort, definitely, because instead of declaring thousands of single variable, ordinary variable, what we can do, we can create one single variable that can hold multiple values, and that concept is called as array. Let us define array quite broadly, right? So to me, if we want to define array in a simplest of simple format, we can define the array as three things. Array has a property. Array has properties like array is homogeneous, array is static, and array is linear. We'll understand these 3 points, then we'll talk about what exactly is Java's point of view in terms of array. This is in general what exactly array is. This is valid for even this concept is valid for almost all the programming languages. When I talk about homogeneous means yes, you got it right. Homogeneous means all the values, all the elements are of same type. If it is integer, all the values will be integer, like that. Static means the size is fixed. Yeah, the sizes, you heard it right, the size is fixed at the time of declaration. Once it is declared, you cannot change the size during the execution of the program or during runtime. What is linear? It always stored in an indexed manner, right? Or the index starts from like 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. Or linearity means it will store consecutively in memory, right? So if you want to define array, this is the best way to define array is a homogeneous, static, and linear data structure. You can define in this way, no problem at all. This is the normal definition that an array is, right? So for example, if I am writing, I am repeating, this is not in terms of Java. I am just writing, discussing this only for your convenience. Suppose if I am writing a of 10. So this is one classic example of array. So here a is the name of the array, 10 is the number of elements that it can hold. The simple format of this array, what it justifies you can able to store how many values? 10 values. This is the beauty of array. Suppose I am expanding this one, something like this, right? Why I call this one as integer, index or linear? Because the name of the array is a, because I have declared like a of 10. And how many elements it can contain? It can contain 10 elements. Remember, the index basically starts from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, definitely the last element will be 9. So when I say a of 0 means the first element. When I say a of 1 means the second element, like this, right? So instead of creating one element or one ordinary element, if we require to store more than one value, happily we can go for array concept, right? And array can have a different flavors like single dimension, double dimension. We'll discuss, don't worry. I think up to this you should be clear what exactly an array is and why we require arrays in our programming, right? Okay, now let us concentrate on Java. We don't want to go anywhere else. Directly let us concentrate on Java. According to Java, what is there and what and how we can able to do that. Now I'll talk in terms of Java. Arrays in Java. Now for Java, this particular definition, basically I bring this particular definition from the documentation provided by Java on the Oracle site. This is the official definition that Java provides, right? What exactly array is? As per Java, array, remember, array is a container object. Don't worry, we'll discuss each and individual terminology that we are using. Array is a container object that holds, array is a container object that holds fixed number of values of single type, or you can say same type. This is the definition. I repeat, I brought this particular definition from the Oracle documentation given or Java documentation provided by Oracle, right? Array is a container object. Remember this term, we will discuss this particular term in detail, which can hold fixed number of values. As I said just earlier, static, the size once declared, that is fixed. If I am writing a of 10, make sure I can have maximum how many elements? 10 elements I can store, not more than that. Container object that holds fixed number of values of which type? A single type. That's why this is homogeneous, right? I hope the first line is quite clear. Only one thing will be there, container object. I'll come to this particular word in a short while for now, don't worry. Now this is the first thing. Next point, let us cover all the points, then we'll go through the implementation part. Or in other words, you can say it is a group of homogeneous type variable. It is a group of homogeneous type variable referred by a common name. Right? Okay. Now here what we can do, we can have some conclusion. First one, length of array is fixed. We have already discussed about this point. Number two, what are the next property? Each item in array is called as an element. Each item in an array is called as basically an element of that particular array, right? Remember, each element is accessed by the index number or numbered index, whatever you say, both are correct. Index number by index number only. Number 4, the index number always begins with 0. So these are few basic points about Java in arrays in Java, right? And each element, each item in the array element is called as each element in the array is called as an element. We have already mentioned this one, and each variable is called as an cell. Like each element, as I said, each element is accessed by the index number. Similarly, we'll discuss that one, right? Don't worry. Now, let us come to the uh, implementation part. Let us see how these arrays are declared. Or let us go for an example. Suppose we are creating an integer array of size 10. Let us understand what exactly that one is. Integer array of size 10. I repeat, I am creating an integer array of size 10. The index always starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, suppose 7. We are creating an integer array of size 7. So definitely the index starts from 0 and the index starts from ends with 6. Now suppose the name of the array is A, right? Now each of this element, you can call the value as element, you can call this particular one a cell, right? So if I am writing A of 0, look at this, how I have written this one. I am written this one like A of 0, right? When I say A of 0, A is the common name shared by all the elements, 0 is the index. If I write A of 0, means the first cell. Similarly, if I talk about this particular cell, you will say, sir, this is the common name A and the index number is how much? 2. Similarly, the last cell will be A of 6, right? So this is what exactly written here. Each element is accessed by the index number. Index number means either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't worry, you don't have to assign the index number, that will be assigned automatically. You just don't worry about that. Our only responsibility is to declare and create the array. We'll learn that one, how to declare in Java, right? This is the basic concept. Here the length of the array is fixed. Whenever I say I'm creating an array of 7 elements, this is the length, right? Similarly, each element I can call, suppose this is 10, 20, 30, 40, all 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever the value I'm going to store, all these values are called as elements, right? And each element can be accessed through an index number. I think these 4 points are pretty clear as we have discussed, right? Now, only one thing I have left out, that is definitely container object. I'm not discuss container object right now. We'll discuss that one, right? Now, next point, can you please tell us how to declare, how to work with Java, how to declare arrays in Java, right? See, Java comes in two different flavors. You can say single dimension array followed by multi-dimension array. We can have two different types of array in Java: single dimension and multi-dimension. In multi-dimension, we can go for double dimension, triple dimension, fourth dimension, like that up to n dimension as per our requirement, right? So we'll go through one by one. We'll concentrate on single dimension. And what is the procedure to declare the single dimension? The things are very simple. Like, I'm directly taking an example. Suppose I want to create an integer array of 10 cells. So what I'll do, look at this one very carefully. Two things are there, we'll go through. First is declare. We'll understand what declaration is. Then we'll understand what creation is. A declaration and creation of array are totally two different things. Don't worry, we'll go through that. Suppose I am writing here integer array A or ARR, let's name. Let us understand what exactly this line is. The first one, as I said, integer. What it refers? what it refers, I am going to create an array. See, there is an empty square bracket, means once you specify an empty square bracket, now this will be automatically treated as an array in Java, right? Okay, now this is the name of the array, right? The last one is the name of the array, that is ARR. Int basically refers to the data type of the array, and size we have not specified. Size we have not specified. You can say, because we don't know the size, size as if now we have not specified, right? Now, this is what called as array declaration. Remember, this is not array creation. This is declaration only. This is declaration only. I repeat, most of the people says whenever we are writing this one, most of the students says this is array creation. But remember, this is not array creation. This is array declaration. Now the next question you are going to ask me, sir, if it is array declaration, why it is required? What exactly this one signifies? To see, to answer that question, make sure you understand this point. What it does, it basically tells the compiler that it is only for the compiler knowledge, right? That this variable, here the variable is what? ARR, right? ARR is going to hold 10 integer values. Got my point? This is only an indication to the compiler that this particular variable ARR going to hold how many values? How many values? 10 values. Which type? Integer type. Clear? Okay. Now the next thing is how to create that one, right? See, while creating the array, make sure, if you want to see, declaration and creation can be done in one line, it can be done in multiple lines, no problem in that. Performance wise, no problem at all, only difference in number of lines. If I want to write in one line, I can do that. If I want to write in 2 lines also, I can do that, right? Now let us see how I can create. Now I am writing ARR equals to new followed by int with a size. Suppose I am writing 10. Now here, this is the statement which will help me to create an array of how many elements? 10 elements. Actually, in the first case, 10 is not there. It can only hold integer, it can only hold multiple integer values, because we have not specified the size there. We don't have to specify the size right here. Only size will be specified at the time of creation, not at the time of declaration. Make sure you understand this point, right? It can only hold multiple values of specific type, that is, the type is integer. Okay, now the second line, this creation line, it clearly confirms I am going to, we have created how many integer values? 10. Immediately what is going to happen? Listen very carefully. Once this particular line will be invoked in a Java program, immediately a memory will be reserved for 10 integer values, right? As you know, each integer value requires how many bytes? 4 bytes. So here how many bytes we require? We require, yes, 40 bytes. So this will be 0 as we have discussed. The next one will be 1, the next one will be 2, and it will go up to the last one should be 9. So immediately one array will be created in memory of how many cells? 10 cells, and each of the cell is of type integer. And what is ARR? Remember, ARR is a reference to this particular area. Since we have used the keyword new, basically what we are doing, we are creating an object. So the conclusion is every array in Java is an object, right? See, you can clearly see while creating an array, we are using the keyword new. And when we are creating when we are going for this new keyword, we have discussed at some point of time, new means definitely we are creating an object, right? Here we are creating object of 10 integer values, and ARR is the reference to that one, right? Now if I write ARR of 0, immediately we say, sir, you are talking about the first one, right? Suppose I am writing ARR 0 equals to 90. So immediately what will happen? The value 90 will be here. If I am writing ARR 1 equals to 190, the second value will be 190. Since we have taken integer, and by mistake, if I am writing A of 2 is equal to 10.5, 100% pakka compiler error will be raised. 100%, because what we have created int here. Since we are creating an integer value, we cannot put a double constant, double literal in an integer array, right? So I hope up to this you got some clarity about array and how to declare array in Java, right? Okay. Okay. Now let us see how we can do that. Now let's get back to this one. What we have defined, what the things has been defined. Array is a container object. Now you got the clarity why we are calling array as a container object. Whenever we are creating the array of 10 cells, it is an object, and for which ARR is the reference variable. So to create an array 100%, what we need to create that one with the help of a new keyword, right? So that confirms every array is an object. Now when I say every array is an object in Java, in the next second there will be a bigger doubt in your mind. Sir, we know if there will be a class, there will be an object, and vice versa. If we are creating an object, definitely there should be a class, correct? Okay. Now what I have just said with you, we have created an array, means we have created an object, right? So can you please tell us what will be the name of the class of this particular object? Sir, you said this is an object. New int 10 is an object, and ARR is a reference variable to that object. Immediately you will say, sir, can you please tell us what is the name of the class for this object? Or is there any class or not? Definitely there should be a class. Yes, there is a class, right? For every array type, there is a class that is defined in Java environment. But the problem is, those classes, remember, those classes are available at the language level, but not to the developer level. Sir, you told only this is an object. Now you are saying these classes are available only at the language level, but the developer cannot use, or is not available for the developer level. How you can say that? Is there any proof? Yes, we have that proof. Let us cross check. Let us go back and let us see what can be done with that array. Let us create a program with Java, maybe it's Sublime followed by test.java. We'll take the same name, right? Now let us create an array. Let me create an array. As we have discussed, we are creating an array of ARR, no problem, followed by we are writing ARR is equal to new int of 10. We have just discussed these two values, right? Now the first question is, what is the name of the class, right? I said for every object there is a class. Remember, since we are using integer type of array, what is the class name for this integer? Remember, in the language level there is a class called as square bracket, open square bracket followed by I. Open square bracket followed by I. We need to cross check. This indicates class name is integer, right? Now let us cross check. We'll print, how to print? Name of the array followed by get class dot get name. This is a method. Using that method, what we can do, we can happily find out the class associated with this array. Let us compile this program. Let us see what is going to happen. The code should compile fine. Sorry, I think there is a mistake. The code should definitely compile fine. Java C test.java. Yeah, code compiles fine. Let us run the program. See, the name of the class is open square bracket followed by open square bracket followed by I. So what it does, what exactly this one confirms? The single square bracket means it is a single dimension symbol. I means class of integers, right? So no problem at all. We have come to the conclusion that this int array is having a class like this. Suppose we are taking a float array. We are taking a float array, right? Similar kind of thing. Let us compile this program again and let us see what will be the name of that float kind of thing. See, that is f. Class name is float, right? Similarly, we have arrays like for int this is valid, for float, yeah, for float that is f, always like this. For byte it is like the name of the class will be b. For short the name of the class will be s, right? Similarly for boolean, yes, the name of the class will be b. No, it's z. It's z, right? So you can happily now, you can happily done this by your own. What will be name of the corresponding array object, right? Now onwards, treat this array as an object, not as a normal variable or primitive variable. Make sure you understand this point, correct? And we have also proved that one. Let us see how the values can be inputted into the array, how those can be displayed, right? We can take the help of, we are going through that int array like that. Okay. Now, if I am writing a of 0 is equal to 10, a of 1, sorry, a of 1 is equal to 20, right? Now I want to print. Similarly, I can print like a of 0, I can print like a of 1. Also, I can put them in a loop. We'll see to that, don't worry. Let's compile the code. Sorry, I think there is some mistake. The name of the array is ARR. I have taken A. It's a normal practice. That's why I should write ARR here followed by ARR. Save this program. Compile this. Sorry. Compile this program followed by execute the program. Now see, 10 and 20 will be displayed. That means, so what exactly happens whenever I'm writing these two lines? What exactly happen? Array of 10 will be created like this, and here the first value a of 0 equal to 10 means this particular value will be 10. A of 1 will be 20, mean the next value will be 20, and it will go on and on and on, right? Now here the question is, how many, can you confirm how many cells I have declared? I have declared 10 cells, right? I have declared 10 cells. Since these are objects, remember these are only created at runtime, not at compile time. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and one more cell 9, right? Okay. Now a of 0, the name of the variable, reference variable is ARR. This one will be ARR 0, I have assigned it to 10. This one will be ARR 1, I have assigned it to 20, right? And did I assign any value to all other cells? No, right? So what will be the value of 2? What will be the value of ARR 2? since I have not assigned, the people who are coming from C and C++ background, they will say, sir, it will contain a garbage value. It will contain a garbage value, but make sure this particular concept is not applicable in Java. Once you declare an array object, since the object will be created at runtime, by default, the values will be assigned with the default values associated with the data type. I repeat, it will be assigned with the default value associated with the data type. So here the type is int. So the default value of int will be 0. In case I am trying to print ARR of 3, ARR of 4 like that, happily we can see the value will be 0. Let us cross check. I'll go for 5 maybe. You can go for 3 also. Compile the code. Execute the code. See, first cell A of 0, A of 2, A of 5. A of 5 is how much? 0. Did I assign anything here? Assign anything here? Also, we can check like, let us display the entire one. There is an class called as arrays. Using this particular statement, I can, we can display the entire array at one go. The entire array at one go. ToString followed by, what is the name of the array? ARR. Let's see what is going to happen. Compile this program. The code should compile fine and it is executed. Now, can you cross check? This is the array. The first A of 0 we have assigned to 10, A of 1 we have assigned to 20. These two are assigned by the programmer. Now the remaining I have not assigned. This particular assignment will be done by your JVM at what time? At runtime. At what time? At your runtime, right? And it will be assigned with a default value. So if I'll create a boolean value, the default value will be, yes, the default value will be false. If you want to cross check, what we can do, we can go with that also. Let us go for boolean, sorry. Maybe you don't have to write like this, sorry. Boolean, here also boolean, and I cannot store like this. Either I have to store true, or I have to store false. In case by mistake any other value I have given, compiler, you know what compiler is going to give me. You know it better. I don't have to explain, because Java is very strongly typed and we have discussed that one quite. See, the first two values we have assigned true and false. Remaining all the values will be assigned to the default value, right? So one more conclusion here we can make. One more conclusion we can make here when we talk about this creation and declaration. Remember, the first conclusion is all the cells of the array object will be assigned to default value by JVM at runtime. If we are not satisfied with the value, what we can do, we can give any other value that is like here. We are not satisfied with the default value, we have given two values. We can also do that. Also, we can use some input kind of thing to input the values into that. No problem in that. Now, let us summarize what we have done. We have declared, we have declared the array, we have created the array, we have insert values into the array, we have displayed the array, and also we have displayed the entire array at one go, right? Here we have done things like that. Still, if you want to write these instead of these two statements, if you want to write in one statement, no problem at all. We can happily write. See what we can do. We can write like this. No problem at all. Same result. no problem at all. Either you can do it in two different lines, or you can do it in one single, right? One conclusion I want to make here: while creating the array, make sure you have to specify the size. If by mistake you have not specified the size, immediately you will definitely go and get an error, compiler error. Let us cross check. If you want to do that, immediately your compiler will say, hey, what are you doing, man? You need to specify the size. Array dimension is missing. Very clearly raise the error. So size is a must. Size is a must. Now suppose I am taking here 5. Now how many elements I have created? How many elements I have created? I have created 1 2 3 4 5 0 1 2 3 4. What is the index? What is the last index? 4. Suppose I have created 0 here, I have created 1 here. I have insert value for 1 0 and 1. Now I have tried to access this 5. Now my question is whether 5 is there, whether index 5 is there, matlab ARR of 5, is it there, is it exist here? No, not exist, right? Immediately my JVM will, compiler don't have any problem, immediately my JVM will raise an exception. That exception will be called as array out of bound exception. See, array index out of bound exception, index 5 out of bound for length 5, right? So in case by mistake you are going for an index which does not exist on the array object, this particular exception you are definitely going to make this a point. This exception means this is a runtime. For every exception, who is responsible? JVM is responsible. Clear? Okay. Now few things we have covered: what exactly an array is, and how to declare an array, how to create an array, how to assign values into the array, and how to display the array, right? Okay. Now we have clearly discussed the different name of the classes associated with each of the array. It could be integer, it could be float, it could be byte, it could be shortened, it could be boolean, or it could be any other data type, right? So we have arrays for almost all the types available in Java. No problem at, we can go for that. Clear? Now let us come to the next one. Let us come to the next one. So what we'll do, we'll see what are the other conclusions associated with this particular array, right? Now let us see how the array can be initialized at the time of declaration. See what we are doing previously, we are doing, right, like ARR. Now if I want to assign some values into it directly without doing anything, what we can do, we can go for this also. Now here what exactly things will happen? Automatically your JVM will create an integer array of how many cells? Depends how many values you have entered. How many values we have entered? We have entered 4 values. Now automatically one array will be created with how many cells? 4 cells or 4 elements. A of 0 will be 10, A of 1 will be 20, A of 2 will be 30, and A of 4 will be 40. So this is array declaration and initialization in one line. Clear? This is also valid. This is also valid, right? So we have clearly discussed three ways. First, how to declare an array. In 2 different lines, one line I can declare, and the second line I can create, or I can combine both of them. Otherwise, I can go directly here. All these 3 things are possible without anything, but this particular one is applicable to all. This particular one is applicable to all, and as we say, the index is applicable to all, and it is always begins with 0. Now let us analyze few more things. Let us analyze few more things, then we will conclude, right? If you can able to understand the single dimension array, double dimension array is not a big deal. Suppose I am writing integer here like ARR is equal to new int of 0. Now can you please confirm? Can you please confirm whether this is valid or not? So what I have done, I have written 0 only. I have written what? 0 only. Whether this particular statement is valid or not. Sir, you'll say, sir, if it is 0, so whenever we set 10, index starts from 0, close with 9. If it is 0, what will be the index? What will be the length? We don't have any idea. So it must be what? It must be invalid. No, it is completely valid. Let us cross check. We have also experienced that one in all other programming kind of things. Suppose I am writing here 0, no problem at all. Let me go for this. Let's see what is going to happen. Whether my compiler will see I am fine or it provides anything else. See, what is there? Empty array will be created without any element. There will be no element at all, but it is a valid statement. Make sure if there will be MCQ question, you can happily answer. Index 0 is valid, but if I am writing -2, this is completely invalid. But this one only the error will be raised not at the compile time, but at the run time. So the compiler cannot compiler once, it should be an integer. In case by mistake, suppose I am writing 1.5, then the error will be there from compiler, not from runtime. See? Now, your compiler says possibly lossy conversion from double to int. So for compiler, make sure you understand this point. For compiler, this should be an integer value. Doesn't matter it is 0, doesn't matter it is 2, doesn't matter it is -1. For everything else, it is fine for the compiler. But for the Xavium, it should start with 0 and it should go up to, yes, what is the maximum value? Maximum, see, since this particular one, only the maximum value, only the thing could be integer. So the maximum range of integer can be specified here. What exactly that one? That will be coming around 2148473647. So the maximum size of a single dimension array in Java is this much. Clear? Okay. Okay. Now, I think we have cleared almost all the sections of single dimension array. What exactly single dimension array is, how they are created, and what can be done with single dimension array, and what all. Now, in case you want to find out the length of the array, you can also use that length variable to find out the length of the array. If you want to cross check, you can also check that one. This is the way you can able to find the length of the array. Fine. Now, I think this is all about the array, what exactly arrays are, why we require arrays, and how Java is basically acting on single dimension array. I repeat, I have not covered any double dimension array. And for single dimension array, we have already seen the class name. One thing let me clear, if I am creating a double dimension array, nothing will be much more thing like if I have to do like this. And if you want to check the class name for that, immediately the same thing like get class dot get name, right? Here you can see two open square brackets. In single dimension we have a single square bracket. Now here two dimension square bracket, two square brackets followed by z. So whenever you are writing your notes for that, for this particular one, make sure for single dimension all these are valid. For double dimension int array, yeah, the class name will be double square bracket, double open square bracket followed by I, right? Okay. So these are the classes, and we have discussed everything about this particular one, right? Now, the next thing we will see, and we'll conclude in the next class, we'll discuss about double dimension array if possible, right? Now, see, I am creating an array of integers, new and 10. We have just discussed, because we cannot leave uh, the size at the right side blank. We cannot leave. Now, we want to input 10 values into the array and we want to display them, right? Let us create that one. For that, we'll take some input variable. Let us create a scanner class. Scanner sc equals to new scanner within brackets system dot n. Scanner class will help us to insert values into the array, right? Suppose I want to insert how many values? I want to insert 10 values. I'm writing integer I is equal to 0. How many values I want to insert? 9 values followed by I plus plus, right? Okay. Now, let me drop a message. Enter, no, insert values. So what we will do, we'll write ARR. What is the variable I've taken, like x? X of 0 equals to sc dot next int. Since we have taken integer, next int, right? Not 0, we'll take this one as I. Now this is simple, only one line, and how many values we can able to enter? We can able to enter values for index in case you want to display, right? Value for index 1, 0, like that. So we can happily use that one. Let us display in one line, please. That is, we have just written that one, arrays dot, yeah, toString, sorry, arrays dot toString followed by the array name x, right? Let us see what is going to happen, whether we could able to enter 10 values or not. The code should compile fine. It compiles fine. Now, values for index 0, I am writing 12, for index 1, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, sorry, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, done. See, entire 10 values will be displayed here, is displaying here. I have inputted how many values? 10 values, right? We can also use that for loop to display. If you want to display in a loop, you can also do that. So instead of this particular one, so what we can do, values at index 0 is how much? Yeah, x of I. Done. We don't need this one. We don't need this one. If you want to display, you can also display. Compile, the code should compile fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. See, value at index 1 is 0 is 1, index 1 is 2, like that. So all the values with index number is displayed. I can display the values using this for loop. I can also display like this. No problem at all. Clear? So this is how single dimension array can be created in Java, and what exactly the single dimension array is, and what is the different classes associated with the single dimension array, and what is the default value that will be assigned to a single dimension array in Java, right? In the next video, we'll discuss about multi-dimension array and few conclusions about single dimension arrays also, right? So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you so much.